sphagnum moss or bark? Which is better for growing orchids indoors? Hello, orchid enthusiasts. Imagine walking into a room filled with vibrant, healthy orchids blooming everywhere. Sounds like a dream, right? But to make that a reality, one of the most important choices you'll make is deciding the best growing medium for your indoor orchid, sphagnum moss or bark. If you've ever felt confused about which one to choose, don't worry, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll explore the pros, cons, and real-life uses of these two popular mediums, so you can confidently pick the one that suits your orchids and environment. Let's dive into the great debate. Before we get into the specifics, let's talk about why the growing medium is so important. As epiphytes, most orchids grow attached to trees in their natural habitat, where their roots are exposed to ample airflow, quick draining water, and just the right amount of moisture. Recreating these conditions indoors is crucial for healthy growth. The choice of medium can determine whether your orchids thrive or struggle. That's why we need to carefully weigh the qualities of sphagnum moss and bark. Let's start with sphagnum moss. This soft, spongy material is derived from moss plants and is widely loved for its impressive water retention abilities. It's commonly used by beginners and experienced growers alike because of its simplicity and adaptability. But what makes it so special? Sphagnum moss holds water extremely well, staying moist for longer periods compared to other mediums. If you live in a dry climate or have orchids that love consistent humidity, sphagnum moss can be a game changer. Its lightweight texture is another plus. It's easy to handle and work with when repotting your orchids. However, no medium is perfect, and moss does come with some challenges. The biggest downside is the risk of overwatering. While moss retains moisture, too much water can lead to root rot, a common orchid killer. Additionally, moss can compress over time, which reduces airflow to the roots, another vital factor for orchid health. This makes regular maintenance a must if you're going with sphagnum moss. So which orchids thrive best with a moss setup? Orchids like Phalaenopsis, which prefer stable moisture levels, respond well to sphagnum moss. It's a great pick if you're just starting your orchid care journey. Now let's switch gears and discuss bark. Bark made from tree material like fir or pine is one of the most popular choices for growing orchids. Unlike sphagnum moss, bark prioritizes aeration for the roots, which many orchid species love. Its natural porous structure allows airflow while also preventing water from sitting around too long. This medium mimics the orchid's natural environment, which is perfect for species like Cattleyas or Dendrobiums that prefer their roots to dry out between waterings. It's a much more forgiving option for growers who tend to overwater, as bark dries out quicker compared to moss. But bark has its challenges too. Since it drains quickly, it may require more frequent watering. Also, over time, bark decomposes and loses its effectiveness, so you'll need to repot your orchid more often to replace it. Whether you're an orchid enthusiast or hobbyist, using bark can help you create a naturalistic and airy environment for your plants. It offers long-term benefits with just a bit more upkeep compared to moss. So how do you decide between sphagnum moss and bark for your specific needs? Here are 4 key factors to consider. Climate. Your local environment plays a huge role in choosing the right medium. If you live in a dry climate or an area with low humidity, sphagnum moss can help retain the necessary moisture for your orchids. On the other hand, if you live somewhere humid, bark might be a better option to ensure roots don't stay too wet. Species. The type of orchid you're growing is another critical factor. As we mentioned earlier, species like Phalaenopsis appreciate a consistently moist root zone, while orchids like Dendrobiums do better in well-aerated conditions that bark provides. Watering habits. Are you someone who loves watering your plants often, or do you forget sometimes? Bark is forgiving for frequent waterers because it drains excess water efficiently. If you're the forgetful type, moss might be your best friend since it holds on to moisture longer. Personal preference and experimentation. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. Experiment with both mediums. Start small, observe how your orchids respond, and make adjustments as needed. To make it even easier, let's break down the main differences between sphagnum moss and bark using a quick comparison. Moss. Excellent water retention. Ideal for moisture-loving orchids. Risk of overwatering. Requires regular fluffing to maintain airflow. Superior aeration for roots. Mimics orchids' natural habitat. Dries out faster, needing frequent watering. Decomposes over time and requires repotting. Still unsure? Let's explore how these mediums fit into real-life scenarios. Here are a couple of quick examples to help you visualize how these mediums perform. Scenario 1. You live in a dry climate with low humidity. A sphagnum moss setup will be your best bet because its water retention properties will prevent the roots from drying out too quickly. Scenario 2. You have a warm, humid home and often overwater your plants. Bark is an ideal choice because it allows excess water to drain easily while keeping the roots aerated. Remember, it's always okay to adjust depending on how your orchids respond over time. If you're still torn between the two, why not experiment with both? Start small. Try moss with one orchid and bark with another. Or you can even mix the two. Layer moss on the top for moisture retention, while bark on the bottom provides drainage and airflow. This hybrid approach can offer the best of both worlds and flexibility for different environments. No matter which medium you choose, maintaining it is key to healthy orchids. For moss, ensure it remains fluffy and repot when it becomes compacted, usually every 6 to 12 months. For bark, replace it every 1 to 2 years, depending on how quickly it breaks down. Proper watering practices are also critical. Water moss carefully, ensuring it's damp but not soaking wet. With bark, water thoroughly, allowing it to run through the pot and avoid letting the roots sit in water. And there you have it. Now you know the benefits and drawbacks of both sphagnum moss and bark, as well as how to decide which one will work best for your orchids. Remember, every orchid and environment is unique, so don't be afraid to test and tweak your methods. Confidence comes with experience and observation. No matter what growing medium you choose, the most important thing is that your orchids feel loved and cared for. Because when your orchids are happy, they reward you with their breathtaking blooms. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to share it with fellow orchid enthusiasts. Have any tips of your own? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, happy growing! Like and subscribe for more gardening tips. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Check out our blog for more in-depth information /lifeandwork.blog.